It shouldn't surprise us, but the Bible has a lot to say about love. In fact, if we get love right, then we get everything else right as well. Today, why love is the only one of the commandments that we need to keep. Hi, this is Robert Furrow, and welcome to Hot Topics. If you're new here, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and ringing the bell so you can get all of our new content. The comment section is open below. We would love to hear from you. In the Old Testament, there are a lot of laws, like 613 of them. Just try to memorize all of those. The New Testament tells us about a new way to keep those laws. In fact, we can keep them without knowing them. Today, let's look at 5 things the New Testament has to say about love. In the New Testament, Jesus gave us a new covenant. In fact, in communion, he said that the cup was the cup of the new covenant. And he told his disciples this in John 13:34 and 35. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. What a way for Jesus to start that. A new commandment I give unto you, on top of all of the other ones. But then he tells them that the commandment is to love each other, and that the world will know that we are his disciples by the love that we have for one another. That's our real evangelism tool. When we love one another, when we're kind to one another, when we're forgiving and tenderhearted towards one another, the world looks at us and realizes that we truly follow Jesus. Now, it says in the book of Galatians that we are not under the law because we've come to Christ, and coming to Christ, we no longer need the law. Hebrews tells us the same thing, that Jesus is the fulfillment of the law. He is the high priest that gave the sacrifice. He is the sacrifice. Hebrews chapter 4, he becomes our Sabbath. But Jesus also said in Matthew 22:37 that the greatest of all commandments was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and then love one another as yourself. And in doing this, we fulfill the law. Listen to what Romans 13:8 says along those same lines. It says, owe no one anything except to love one another. For he who loves another has fulfilled the law. Owe no one anything but love? For he who loves each other has fulfilled the law. The way we fulfill the law now is to walk in love. It goes on to say, for the commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not covet, and if there is any other commandments, all are summed up in this, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, which is a quote from Leviticus, by the way. Then in verse 10 of Romans chapter 13, it says, love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. If I'm walking in love, then I'm not going to steal from someone. I'm not going to injure someone because I love them, and that becomes the fulfillment of the law. The third thing the New Testament tells us about love is that it is absolutely the most important thing for us to be doing. Listen to Peter in 1 Peter 4:8. It says, and above all things, have a fervent love for one another. Love will cover a multitude of sins. Boy, that's a passage we need to listen to. Above all things, have a fervent love for one another. Above everything. We might think it's all kinds of other things, but the most important thing is to love each other. And then it says love will cover a multitude of sins, meaning that if I really love you, then you're going to have understanding and forgiveness towards me, and I'm going to have understanding and forgiveness towards you, and we're going to forgive one another. The fourth thing the New Testament teaches us about love is that without it, we are nothing. This, of course, is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the first 3 verses. It says, though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become a sounding brass and a clanging cymbal. I can speak in every language in the world, and if I don't have love, I'm just making noise. Listen to verse 2. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and I understand all mysteries and knowledge, and though I have faith so that I can remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. I am nothing, even though I understand all mysteries and all knowledge and prophecies, even though I understand everything completely. If somehow it's not rooted and grounded in love, then I am nothing. Listen to what verse 3 says. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Even if you give everything away and even sacrificed yourself, If it's not by love, then there is no profit to what you're doing at all. This is how important that love is for us. The fifth thing that the New Testament tells us about love is that it endures all things. After getting that list in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't seek its own, so on, it comes to the end of that section in verse 7, and it says this: love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. And then, love never fails. If you and I are walking in love, then we truly are keeping the entire commandment. That's what God requires of us. We are merciful and kind to one another. We're doing what God wants us to do above all things, and love will never fail. We might have things that end up in failure, but if love is the motive, then we don't fail at all. I would rather do what's wrong with the right motive than to do what's right with the wrong motive. If our motive is love, it truly does cover a multitude of sins.